You're standing in your kitchen, staring at a cold plate of leftovers or a raw tray of vegetables. You have three choices. You can blast it in the microwave, you can toss it in the big oven, or, if you're fancy, you might have a steam oven. They all basically do the same thing, right? Heat your food. Ever wonder why a potato takes an hour in one box, 5 minutes in another, and comes out tasting completely different in the third? Today, I'm going to explain the real differences between conventional, microwave, and steam ovens in the simplest way possible. By the end, you won't just know how to push the buttons. You'll understand the physics of what is actually happening to your dinner. You will know which one fits your schedule, your health goals, and your taste buds. Most people think heat is just heat. You turn a dial, the box gets hot, the food cooks. But these three technologies couldn't be more different under the surface. They are manipulating energy in fundamentally different ways. The conventional oven uses hot air to dehydrate and brown your food. The microwave uses invisible waves to shake water molecules until they create their own heat. The steam oven uses phase change thermodynamics to transfer energy without drying anything out. That's physics. And it matters because each method dictates the texture, the nutrient density, and the flavor of what you eat. Let's start with the one everyone grew up with, the conventional oven. This is the heavyweight champion of the kitchen. It's a big insulated box with heating elements at the top and bottom. When you turn it on, those elements glow red hot. They heat the air inside the box. That hot air touches the outside of your food, and slowly, very slowly, that heat travels to the middle. If you have a convection setting, all that means is a fan is blowing that hot air around. It's like the difference between a hot day with no wind and a hot day with a breeze. The breeze cooks you faster. But here's the secret about conventional ovens that most people don't realize. Air is actually a terrible conductor of heat. Think about it. You can stick your hand inside a 400-degree oven for a few seconds to grab a tray, and you won't get burned. If you stuck your hand in 400-degree water, you'd lose your skin instantly. Because air is so inefficient at moving energy, the conventional oven has to do something else to get the job done. It has to dry things out. The conventional oven is basically a dehydration machine. As the hot, dry air hits your chicken or your cake, it evaporates the moisture on the surface. This is crucial. You want this to happen. Why? Because of something called the Maillard reaction. This is the holy grail of cooking. It's a chemical reaction between amino acids and sugars that happens around 300 degrees Fahrenheit. It's what turns bread into toast. It's what turns raw dough into a golden crust. It's what makes a steak look delicious instead of gray and sad. To get that flavor, you need temperatures higher than the boiling point of water. You need the surface to be dry. So, the conventional oven is the king of crunch. If you want crispy skin, roasted potatoes, or a loaf of sourdough, you have no other choice. But there is a massive downside. Because you are relying on dry air to push heat into the center of the food, you are fighting a battle against time. By the time the heat finally reaches the center of your chicken breast to cook it through, the outside has been exposed to dry heat for way too long. The outside dries out. The meat gets stringy. The vegetables shrivel up. It's also wildly inefficient. You are heating up a massive metal box and a bunch of air just to cook a small tray of food. It takes 15 minutes just to preheat. That is energy waste. Now, let's look at the appliance everyone owns but nobody respects, the microwave. People think microwaves cook from the inside out. That is a myth. They don't. Here is what is actually happening. The microwave has a device called a magnetron. It shoots electromagnetic waves into the box. These waves are tuned to a specific frequency, usually 245 GHz. Why that number? Because that frequency is really good at targeting dipolar molecules. That sounds complicated, but it just means molecules that have a positive end and a negative end. The most common one in your kitchen is water. Fats and sugars are also on the list. When those waves hit the water molecules inside your leftovers, they cause the molecules to rotate back and forth. They are flipping over billions of times a second, trying to align with the magnetic field. All that flipping creates friction. Imagine rubbing your hands together really fast. They get hot, right? That is what's happening to the water inside your lasagna. The food is cooking itself through molecular friction. This is why the microwave is the speed demon. It doesn't waste time heating the air. It doesn't care about the temperature of the box. It sends energy directly to the water inside the food. It is absurdly fast. It is incredibly energy efficient because almost all the electricity goes into the food. But here is why foodies hate it. Microwaves are a blunt instrument. They are violent. Because the heat is generated by water molecules vibrating frantically, the temperature can spike instantly. The water inside your food turns to steam so fast that it can explode the cell walls of vegetables and meats. That's why microwaved chicken has that weird rubbery texture. You have destroyed the cellular structure. And because the air inside the microwave is cold, moisture condenses on the surface of the food. You will never ever get a crust in a microwave. A slice of pizza in a conventional oven gets crispy. In a microwave, the dough becomes a soggy, chewy mess because the water inside the dough boils, but the surface never dries out. There is also the issue of uneven heating. Microwaves interact with food in patterns. Some spots get hit by tons of waves, others get missed. That's why you get the lava hot on the edges, frozen in the middle. Burrito experience. The turntable is there to try and fix this, but it's not perfect. So, for years, we had these two choices: the slow, drying oven or the fast, soggy microwave. Enter the challenger, the steam oven. This is the technology that professional restaurants have used for decades, and it's finally making its way into homes. The concept is simple. You fill a canister with water. The oven boils it and injects clouds of steam into the cooking chamber. But the physics here is fascinating. Remember how I said air is a bad conductor of heat? Steam is an amazing conductor. It relies on something called latent heat of condensation. When steam hits a cold piece of broccoli, the steam turns back into water. This phase change, going from gas back to liquid, releases a massive amount of energy directly onto the food. Water holds much more heat energy than air. This means a steam oven set to 212 degrees will cook food significantly faster than a conventional oven set to the same temperature. But the real magic isn't the speed, it's the humidity. In a steam oven, the humidity is 100%. In a conventional oven, moisture is constantly evaporating out of your food. In a steam oven, the environment is saturated. Water cannot evaporate. This changes everything for your food structure. Broccoli cooked in a steam oven stays vibrant, bright green. Why? Because you aren't scorching the chlorophyll. Chicken breast cooked in steam stays impossibly juicy. It literally cannot dry out because there is nowhere for the moisture to go. It is also the healthiest way to cook. When you boil vegetables in a pot of water, a lot of the water-soluble vitamins, like vitamin C and B, leach out into the water, which you then pour down the sink. In a steam oven, the food isn't submerged, it sits in a cloud. The nutrients stay inside the vegetable. It's also the ultimate reheating machine. Remember that dry, sad leftover chicken? If you put it in a steam oven, the heat gently warms it while adding moisture back in. It brings leftovers back to life in a way a microwave never can. So, steam wins on health, texture, and moisture. But there is a catch. A big one. Water boils at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius. You cannot get steam hotter than that at normal pressure. Remember the Maillard reaction, the browning flavor? That needs 300 degrees. You will never ever brown a chicken in a pure steam oven. You cannot bake a crusty loaf of bread. You cannot roast potatoes. If you try to cook a Thanksgiving turkey in a steam oven, it will be the juiciest turkey you've ever had, but the skin will be pale, flabby, and wet. It will look like a science experiment. So, we have a dilemma. Conventional, great crust, but dries out the inside. Microwave fast, but ruins the texture. Steam, perfect texture, but zero flavor or crunch. So which one should you actually buy? Here is where the industry is heading, and this is the secret menu option I need to tell you about. The Combi-Steam oven. This is exactly what it sounds like. It is a conventional oven and a steam oven combined in one box, and it solves the physics problem we've been talking about. Imagine roasting a chicken. For the first 20 minutes, the oven uses steam. It transfers heat fast, keeping the meat plump and ensuring the inside cooks without drying out. Then, the oven switches modes. It cuts the steam and turns on the dry convection heat. The temperature spikes to 400 degrees. The surface moisture evaporates. The skin browns and crisps up. You get the juicy interior of the steam oven with the crispy exterior of the conventional oven. It is the best of both worlds. Bakers use this for bread. A burst of steam at the start helps the loaf rise. That's called oven spring. And then the dry heat creates the crust. But naturally, there is a barrier. Cost. A standard microwave is $100. A standard oven is $600. A good steam or combi oven can easily run $3,000 or more. They often require plumbing, or at least you have to remember to fill up the water tank constantly. So, let's bring this back to reality. What fits your life? If you are a survival eater, you just need calories, you're reheating coffee, melting butter, and making popcorn stick with the microwave. It's a tool of convenience. It's ugly physics, but it works when you're in a rush. If you are a traditional cook, you love baking cookies, roasting heavy meats, and you need that Sunday roast flavor, the conventional oven is still your workhorse. You cannot live without the Maillard reaction. But if you are health conscious, if you eat a lot of vegetables, fish, and grains, and you hate how dry your food tastes, the steam oven is a game changer. It makes eating healthy food actually enjoyable because the texture isn't ruined. And if you are renovating a kitchen and you have the budget, the Combi oven is the future. It's the only one that actually uses all the physics to your advantage. There is one last thing nobody tells you about the safety and environment of these choices. Conventional ovens are energy hogs. They heat up your whole house. In the summer, your AC has to work harder just to fight your oven. Microwaves are efficient, but plastic containers in microwaves can leach chemicals into your food. Use glass. Steam ovens are actually very gentle. There's no risk of burning food onto the bottom of the pan because nothing gets hot enough to char. It's remarkably easy to clean. So here's the real question. Is your cooking suffering because you're a bad cook or because you're using the wrong physics? If your chicken is always dry, it's not you. It's the dry air in your oven. If your leftovers are rubbery, it's not the food. It's the violence of the microwave. Stop fighting the machine. Choose the box that does what you actually want it to do, because at the end of the day, cooking is just energy management. And now you know how to manage it.